Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Your Voice at the Table. And I'm here today with Sherene Clayton of Northwestern Mutual Insurance. And Sherene, it is just so exciting to be with you. It's a warm day. We are both Caribbean women who enjoy the sun and the warmth. So it's only fitting that after a long winter, we are here together. It's so good to have you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you for the invite.
Excellent, excellent. So, as you know, our show is fairly short, so we're going to get right into it. Tell us, Sherene, a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your work, who you are, and how you came to do this work.
Sure. Thank you again, Sherene Clayton. I'm a partner with Northwestern Mutual. I run my own financial practice. I'm located in Midtown, New York. And how did I came into this space? I'm a career changer. I started my career in technology. I was in the technology space. I'm working for about 23 years, actually. I grew up in New York City. I ran track for Coppin State University on athletic scholarship, and then majored in computer science. And then from there, again, like I said, had a long career in the technology space. And then I had a moment in my life where I saw firsthand what finance can do to family members. I witnessed my mother transitioning. She passed away from pancreatic cancer. And through that experience, that's what led me to wanting to do more with my life and change from working in finance and really now to educate people about having different plans in place and really preparing themselves, and also just working with a professional, and preparing, whether it's like having a will in place, having a trust in place, having life insurance in place, having your beneficiaries on your different accounts, just making sure you're protected, not just for today, but also in the future.
Absolutely. And it's probably the silver lining in that traumatic experience of losing your mom that helped you realize that this is the time for you at a younger age to learn from that and to make sure that you set yourself up, especially as a woman of color. And as you and I talked, Urban College of Boston is all about helping folks build intergenerational wealth and also be leaders in their communities as well as in their own lives at the individual level. So we had our pre-conference where you shared a little bit with me about your being a sprinter. So at Compton, you did Coffin rather. Yes. You were an athlete. So tell me about some of the lessons that you learned from being an athlete that you applied to your everyday life and that might be insightful to the rest of us.
Yeah, so thank you so much. So actually, I was a distance runner, and I wanted to be a sprinter, but just didn't have the speed, but did have the discipline and the endurance to go for the miles. And so, being a runner, being an athlete, a student athlete, in college, with high school as well, because I had to I started at a younger age in order to continue honing on that talent to earn that athletic scholarship, and to continue on into college. What I would say, there's let's think for that question. The great question is packed with so many different things, and it speaks beyond the track as well as the office. In sprinting, as you may know, you train endlessly, just for a few seconds, 9 seconds, 8 seconds, 10 seconds, and just one misstep or one, bad start, the race is over. And just transferring that into the workplace, you prepare, endlessly again to execute with intention. You show up, you know your work, you know your goal, and you prepare under pressure. And it just pivoting into from a distance runner. It's about working consistently, doing the small work, doing the necessary things that adds up to big wins. I just look at it as saying, creating good habits, whether you're sprinting, whether you're distant. And then when you talk about, investing from the long term, it's about regular contribution, compounding interest, compounding return, riding out the ups and downs, when the market is, not doing well. And then also, just working with a professional financial planner, like myself, to create a plan for both your short term and your long term goals, for your future. And because that way you can write out, the high, and you can write out when it's low.
It's great. Write out the highs and write out the lows. Thank you for that advice. That's very good advice. I also want to go back to something that we talked about earlier. So you talked about having discipline, and you also shared your own story of how you started young. You had nothing. Right out of college, you said, I'm going to start investing, and you built that initial nest egg over time. Can you talk a little bit more to our students? They tend to be more financially savvy, of course, by choosing Urban College of Boston, and they are thinking long term. They want to build wealth for themselves and build wealth for their families. Where do they start? What did you learn from your story that could have insights that are valuable for them?
Again, great question. I would say for me, coming from a Caribbean background, my mother, born in Jamaican descent. No, I had great values that was instilled in me from my mother, just from a very early child. And one thing my mother always encouraged me was to just to stay. And that's what I continue to hone in on, just listening to those early lessons. I would just say for the younger generation, again, just working with a financial planner and build that plan. Like, know what your goals are, what your short-term goals are. If you want to, at the age of 22 or 21, you say, I want to buy a house. How long, what's that time horizon for you? Understand what your risk tolerance are. And then from there, you can build a plan around that. For me, it was just understanding that I know I wanted to have money in the long run. I didn't want to see myself go through the same struggles that my mother went through. So that what allowed me to start early. At the age of 22, I bought my first home.
Wow. Wow. What an achievement. Congratulations.
Thank you. And and then just from that experience, I was like, well, I wanted to do something that I knew my family hadn't done before. And so that just taking calculated risk allowed me to do things that I thought was necessary early on.
Great. So discipline, calculated risks, starting early, even if it's small. What about the folks who are already in their 30s and 40s? They're not buying a house in their 20s. They didn't get an opportunity to do that. What do you say to them? What can they do right now?
Yeah, what I would say right now is having a monthly budget. Have a work with a monthly budget. See what are your expenses are. What is your income, and then just from there, making sure that you're tracking it. So this way you can see, say, am I spending more than I'm earning? And if you're doing that, look at how can you cut back on, or find ways to cut back on things that you may not necessarily need today. So this way you can start to save a little bit more, and you can invest in things that you need for the future. We all know that the future is not guaranteed, but it's about having a plan. So you plan for some short-term goals, again, mid-term goals, and also your long-term goals. And so again, I can't express this enough. Working with a financial planner, so they can help you to put that plan together. You don't have to do it alone. That's their job. So you express to them, he or she, what your goals are, and then that person can help you to map out, give you that blueprint or what it takes to get from point A to point B. It won't solve all your problems, but it will give you a blueprint of how to help you to navigate through your life. And one thing I do want to say, I know you asked this question earlier about the race. I do want to say, everyone runs their own race. So you cannot win by watching someone else. You cannot win by watching someone else win. So whether you're running a 100-meter dash or 10K, is about your time and your strategy. So every person is going to have their own plan. You can't look at what one person is doing to say if that works for them, that should work for me. It's all about, your own unique goals and what your time horizon and what your risk tolerance is.
It's excellent. I really like that analogy, and the insights of running your own race and understanding your own circumstances and not necessarily duplicating someone else's. You talk about saving, and I know putting money in a savings account right now, you're getting 0.01% or maybe 0.02, something really ridiculous. And you also talk about working with a financial planner. So for people who are adults, maybe you have a kid, maybe you are planning on having a kid, or maybe you just want a financial future that is stable for yourself when you're done working, whatever age you choose for that to be able to live comfortably and not work so hard and be in good health and be able to afford the health care and everything else that you need. What is the value of working with a planner? You're a planner. What do you do with people when you sit down with, say, a 30-year-old and say, let's talk about your life moving forward?
The first thing is understanding what, again, is their goals. It all starts with their goals. It starts with their goals. It starts with their time horizon. And what kind of experience or what have they done in the past. So if they do sometimes, 30-year-old may already work with a financial advisor before. If they're working, they may get some type of benefit through their job. And so you understand like, okay, what do you currently have in place? And, my team goal is not to take away what they have in place. It's really to help complement what pieces they have in place and help them to navigate the gaps. And then from there, we work together. We work collaboratively. If they already have an existing planner, we work with, what they have there. So my advice is, really just come in with an open mind. And have the understanding of learning, and then see what are your goals. You have to be. I know oftentimes, whether you're young or you're old or middle age or even close to retirement, money tends to be what that topic that can be intimidating, and especially I know like in the Caribbean community, it may be taboo not to talk openly about money, and so it's just really just being having that open mind and wanting to learn, be curious. So I think that's like that all comes with just as you're talking with your financial planner, and I know it comes down to trust. So you have to work with someone on the team that you trust, and then just be vulnerable, willing to share your story and how you would like to see them help you.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time. I will wrap us up with one question. And it's a bit of a weighty one. We know that Black women in this country are, when you look at by a subgroup, by race and gender, they are the most educated group in the U.S. However, they are also among the least wealthy. So they have the least amount of wealth compared to other groups, and relative to their education, it's also surprising. What advice, as a highly educated Black woman, do you have for other Black women?
I
Or
would say, great question. I mean, your question's been spot on today. I have, I would say a few advices here. One is, owning your own voice, just speaking up. Sometimes it could be uncomfortable, but just keep in mind, like your perspective, your experience, your intuition are valuable. So use your voice to advocate for yourself and others. No one is going to advocate for you more than yourself. So that's the first thing. The second thing is prioritizing your financial independence. We've been talking about that a great deal already today. Work with a professional financial planner to build that comprehensive plan for your future. Having independence gives you options, power, and a peace of mind. The third is, setting boundaries without guilt, protecting your energy, your time, your peace. Saying no, can actually be an act of self-respect. It's not, you don't always have to say yes, and saying no sometimes can help you protect that peace. And we haven't talked much about this, but it's in terms of investing in your health, your mind, body, and soul, prioritizing rest, movement, exercising, coming from a person who's an athlete. I'm always on the move. I like to exercise. I like to be out walking, running. So, but just moving, that's good for the body as well. And eating healthy, emotional well-being. Like, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Like, we tend, as Black women, we tend to give so much, but we're not taking care of ourselves. So you have to prioritize those things. And then lastly, I would say surround yourself with uplifting people. Whether you can, build or find your tribe, having supportive friendship and mentorship is critical to growth, healing, and thriving.
Love it. Love it. I think my big takeaway from our time today is saying no can be an act of self-respect. So remember that, folks. Well, Sherene, thank you so much. It's been wonderful spending some time with you. I appreciate all of the great gems that you dropped today, and I am certain that our audience does as well. Folks, thanks for tuning in, and have a wonderful afternoon.
All right. Thank you so much.